There's a lot happening across the royal family right now, and if you've stepped away from the headlines for even a few weeks, you've missed some genuinely significant developments. So let's walk through everything, story by story, starting with the biggest personal news of the summer. Princess Eugenie has welcomed her third child, and her first daughter, and after keeping the world waiting, she's finally revealed the baby's name. The little girl was born on August 3rd at a hospital in Lisbon, Portugal, where Eugenie and her husband Jack Brooksbank spend part of their time. According to the official Buckingham Palace announcement, the baby weighed 6 pounds 9 ounces at birth, and the King and Queen, along with other members of the royal family, were delighted to be informed of the news. For the first 2 weeks, Eugenie and Jack simply referred to their daughter on social media as Baby Girl Brooksbank, which is actually consistent with how they handled the arrivals of their 2 sons as well. They've historically taken their time before settling on and announcing a name. That gap gave royal watchers plenty of room to speculate. Some guessed the name might be Alice, a nod to Eugenie's late grandfather Prince Philip's mother, Princess Alice of Battenberg. Others focused on the family's deep connection to Portugal, since the Brooksbanks have made Lisbon something of a second home. On August 17th, the wait ended. Eugenie shared a set of photos on Instagram, including one showing her newborn alongside her older brothers, 5-year-old August and 3-year-old Ernest, and revealed the name, Adelaide Elizabeth Anina Brooksbank. In her caption, she described the 2 weeks since the birth as a particularly special, cozy, and love-filled stretch of time. She explained that the name honors 3 people she and Jack admire, past and present, and confirmed that the middle name Elizabeth is a direct tribute to her great-grandmother, the late Queen Elizabeth II. She also noted that the name reflects both English and Portuguese history, 2 places, she said, that the family considers home. It's a lovely, deeply personal detail, and it continues a clear pattern for this family. Their first son, August, carries a name connected to Prince Philip. Their second son, Ernest, was named in part after Eugenie's own grandfather, Ronald Ferguson, and a more distant ancestor. Now Adelaide continues that thread, tying a new generation back to Queen Elizabeth II's memory. Eugenie closed her announcement by noting that big brothers Augie and Ernie are already proving to be excellent older siblings. Stepping outside the British royal family for a moment, because there was a genuinely historic announcement out of continental Europe this month that's worth flagging. On August 15th, during a speech marking Liechtenstein's National Day, hereditary Prince Alois announced that the principality is changing its centuries-old succession rules. Liechtenstein will move away from strict male primogeniture, which automatically placed sons ahead of daughters in the line of succession, regardless of birth order, and adopt absolute primogeniture instead. Going forward, the eldest child, regardless of gender, will become heir to the throne and eventually rule as Prince or Princess of Liechtenstein. This wasn't a unilateral royal decree, either. The change required and received the approval of a 2/3 majority of family members who hold voting rights on matters like this within the House of Liechtenstein. It's a significant modernization for one of Europe's last remaining monarchies still governed by strictly male preference succession law, and it brings Liechtenstein more in line with countries like the United Kingdom, Sweden, and the Netherlands, all of which reformed their own succession rules to gender-neutral primogeniture over the past couple of decades. It's a reminder that royal news isn't confined to Windsor and Buckingham Palace. Europe's smaller monarchies are still making real constitutional history too. This is probably the most consequential royal story of the past year, and it's worth laying out clearly, because the timeline has moved fast. Andrew, once known as the Duke of York and formerly Prince Andrew, has effectively been removed from royal life entirely. Stripped of his titles, evicted from his longtime home, and, as of this year, formally arrested. The roots of the story go back years, to Andrew's relationship with the convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein, and the widely reported allegations made against Andrew by Virginia Giuffre, which he has consistently denied. But 2025 marked the point where the royal family moved decisively. In October of that year, Andrew announced he would stop using his title, the Duke of York, along with his other honors. Buckingham Palace followed just days later, confirming that King Charles had formally initiated the process to strip him of his style, titles, and honors altogether. By November, the London Gazette confirmed the change was official. Andrew would no longer be entitled to use Royal Highness or the title Prince. He's now known simply as Andrew Mountbatten Windsor. The fallout continued into 2026. He was removed from Royal Lodge, his longtime residence on the Windsor estate, and relocated to Marsh Farm on the Sandringham estate, reportedly funded by his brother, the King. Then, in February 2026, came the most serious development yet. Andrew was arrested by Thames Valley Police on suspicion of misconduct in public office, reportedly tied to allegations that he shared confidential documents from his time as a UK trade envoy with Epstein. Around the same time, additional documents from the ongoing Epstein files release included new photographs and email exchanges involving Andrew, further damaging his position. Since then, the erasure of his royal legacy has continued in smaller but symbolically significant ways. He's handed back Norway's Grand Cross of the Order of St. Olav. New Zealand cancelled a commemorative medal he'd been awarded decades earlier. A London theatre that had carried his former title has been renamed entirely. There's even been public discussion about removing his name from an Antarctic landmark that was named after him back when he was 2 years old. He technically remains eighth in line to the British throne, since altering the actual line of succession would require action from the UK Parliament and the governments of the other Commonwealth realms, not just a decision by the King, but there's been public commentary, including from officials in Australia, suggesting there's a real appetite to make sure he never becomes a realistic contender for the throne. It's a remarkable fall for a man who was once second in line to become king, and it's reshaped how the working royal family presents itself to the public. Now for one of the most closely watched relationship stories in the family, where things currently stand between King Charles and Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. For context, Harry and Meghan stepped back as senior working royals back in January 2020, and the years since have been marked by public friction, from their Oprah interview to Harry's memoir, Spare, to a Netflix documentary, all of which aired grievances about how the family and palace treated them. Meghan hadn't returned to the UK since September 2022, when she joined the family for Queen Elizabeth II's funeral. Father and son reportedly hadn't seen each other in person since February 2024, right around when Charles first announced his cancer diagnosis, and by some reporting last year, Charles wasn't responding to Harry's messages at all. In a 2025 BBC interview, Harry said he hoped for reconciliation, adding that there was no point in continuing to fight. This year, that appears to have shifted. In July 2026, King Charles hosted Harry, Meghan, and their children, Archie and Lilibet, for a private reunion at Highgrove House. Notably, Prince William and Kate were absent from that meeting. Royal commentators told reporters that Charles has long wanted to see his grandchildren, and that with his ongoing cancer treatment, family has taken on added weight for him, enough that he wasn't willing to pass up the chance to see them privately, even amid the years of public fallout. Both the palace and the Sussexes have reportedly been keeping details of the meeting deliberately private in order to protect the reconciliation process. Since then, according to multiple entertainment and royal outlet citing sources close to the family, Harry has felt energized by the reunion and eager to keep building on it, while Charles is said to prefer moving more slowly and carefully, wary of how a faster reconciliation might affect his relationships with the rest of the family. The biggest reported obstacle isn't Charles at all, it's William. Multiple reports suggest the Prince of Wales currently has no interest in mending his own relationship with his younger brother, even as their father works to rebuild his. It's worth being clear that a lot of this detail comes from unnamed sources and insider reporting rather than official statements, so it should be read with that context in mind, but the confirmed fact at the center of it, the Highgrove meeting itself, has been corroborated across multiple outlets. It marks the first real sign of a thaw in a family rift that's played out publicly for years, even if a full reconciliation between all parties still looks like a longer road. King Charles has stayed active on two fronts this year, as a global diplomatic voice, and as a monarch continuing to manage a very public cancer journey. On the diplomatic side, following the devastating earthquakes that struck Venezuela recently, King Charles sent a message of condolence directly to the Venezuelan people, saying he and Queen Camilla were deeply saddened to learn of the destruction and loss of life. It's the kind of statement that doesn't always dominate headlines, but it reflects the diplomatic and humanitarian role the modern monarchy continues to play, something Charles has leaned into consistently since taking the throne. On the health side, it's worth recapping where things actually stand, because there's been a lot of confusion in the press. Charles's cancer diagnosis was first announced by Buckingham Palace back in February 2024, discovered after treatment for a separate, unrelated enlarged prostate condition. The palace never disclosed the specific type or stage of the cancer, and it hasn't issued a fully detailed medical update since. What we do know is that Charles continued nearly all of his official duties throughout treatment, missing only a limited window early on. Then, this past December, Charles delivered a rare and notably personal video statement, filmed at Clarence House, as part of the UK's Stand Up to Cancer campaign. In it, he shared what he called good news, that thanks to early diagnosis, effective intervention, and adherence to his doctor's guidance, his own treatment schedule would be reduced heading into 2026. He called it both a personal blessing and a testament to advances in cancer care, adding that early diagnosis simply saves lives. Buckingham Palace clarified around that same time that the King's treatment is now moving into what they called a precautionary phase, meaning ongoing monitoring rather than active weekly treatment, though the palace stopped short of using the word remission. A royal spokesperson said Charles has responded exceptionally well to treatment, and that his care team will continue to review and adjust his plan to protect his ongoing recovery. It's a genuinely hopeful update, even without a full remission declaration, and it comes as Charles continues to carry a full official schedule alongside it. Kate Middleton's health journey has, understandably, remained one of the most closely followed royal stories of the past 2 years, and this year has marked a real turning point in how visible and active she's become. As a quick recap for anyone who's lost track of the timeline, Kate first revealed her cancer diagnosis in March 2024, following an abdominal surgery earlier that January that had initially been thought to involve a non-cancerous condition. She underwent a course of preventative chemotherapy through the rest of that year, and by September 2024 she confirmed she'd completed chemo and described herself as cancer-free. In January 2025, she shared the news that she had officially entered remission, writing that it was a relief to reach that point and that she remained focused on recovery, while acknowledging that adjusting to a new normal after a diagnosis like hers takes real time. Alongside that update, she also took on a new role as joint patron of the Royal Marsden, the hospital where she received treatment, with a stated goal of helping transform the experience of everyone affected by cancer. Since then, Kate has steadily, deliberately rebuilt her public schedule. Royal commentators have noted that this year in particular has felt like a genuine shift compared to last year's more cautious, gradual return. She's now setting the tone for being visibly present again, rather than easing back in from the sidelines. That culminated earlier this year in a major milestone, her first international trip since completing treatment, a visit to Reggio Emilia, Italy, to observe the region's globally respected early childhood education model, which ties directly into her long-standing patronage work in early years development. An aide told reporters at the time that Kate was energized, enthused, and excited both to see the program in action and to help build what she's described as a genuinely global conversation around early childhood development. Prince William has spoken publicly about his pride in her recovery as well. During a radio appearance in May, he said Kate had been amazing and that she'd been through so much over the past couple of years, while highlighting her upcoming trip to Italy as a meaningful next step. And in June, Kate herself visited a cancer center and spoke candidly about how her diagnosis and treatment affected her whole family, continuing a pattern of increasing openness that's become one of the more striking parts of her public reemergence, a notable shift for a royal historically known for guarding her privacy closely. In February, around World Cancer Day, she also shared a video reflecting on her journey, offering words of support to anyone currently facing a diagnosis, treatment, or recovery of their own. Which brings us to the story generating real buzz right now. Reporting suggests Kate may be preparing for her next, and biggest, international outing yet. According to the Daily Mirror's royal editor Russell Myers, Kate is said to be hoping to join William at this year's Earthshot Prize Awards, William's flagship environmental initiative, which is being held in India. If it happens, it would be a major milestone on 2 fronts. It would mark nearly 4 years since William and Kate last traveled together for an Earthshot ceremony, when they went to Boston, and even longer since the couple's last full official overseas tour, which took them through the Caribbean. William and Kate haven't undertaken a joint international tour together since 2023, so a trip to India would represent a real, symbolic return to the global stage as a couple. It's worth being clear, though, that nothing is confirmed yet. Kensington Palace declined to comment when asked directly about the report, so for now it remains speculation, if well-sourced speculation, rather than an announced trip. Away from the bigger headlines, William and Kate have kept things relatively low-key and ordinary this summer, which in itself says something about how far the family has come. Kate was recently spotted out enjoying the UK's mountains and hiking trails, including a descent of Mount Snowdon alongside her brother, James Middleton, before returning to royal duties at Windsor Castle. William, meanwhile, has continued his usual mix of patronage work, including his long-standing role as patron of the Football Association, while keeping the Earthshot Prize's next round of awards as a central focus heading into the back half of the year. With George, Charlotte, and Louis on their school break, the family has largely stayed out of the spotlight at their home base, Adelaide Cottage in Windsor, a pattern that's fairly typical for the Wales family during the summer months, and one they've maintained in past years as well, often retreating to Norfolk or keeping engagements minimal while the kids are off school. Earlier this year, William and Kate also attended a significant moment for the Church of England, joining the installation of Dame Sarah Mullally as the new Archbishop of Canterbury in Canterbury Cathedral. The couple, while not part of the formal ceremony, joined the roughly 2,000-strong congregation in applauding the historic enthronement, and listened as the new archbishop spoke about hopes for peace in the Middle East and acknowledged past failures on safeguarding within the church. Royal commentators have also pointed out that, health permitting, William and Kate have continued to prioritize joint public engagements whenever their schedules allow it, everything from Commonwealth Day services to major sporting events, with observers noting that as a working royal pairing, their combined popularity remains one of the monarchy's most valuable public assets as the family looks toward the future of the institution under King Charles and, eventually, William himself. So, pulling it all together as of mid-August 2026, the family has welcomed a new member in Eugenie's daughter Adelaide, whose name carries real emotional weight tied to Queen Elizabeth II's memory. Europe just watched a genuinely historic constitutional shift play out in Liechtenstein. Andrew Mountbatten Windsor's fall from royal status has continued to unfold across 2026, from his arrest to the steady erasure of honors that once bore his name. There are real, if early and fragile, signs of reconciliation between King Charles and Prince Harry's family, even as tension with Prince William remains unresolved. Charles himself continues to balance a full diplomatic and ceremonial schedule with an ongoing, increasingly hopeful cancer treatment journey. And Kate Middleton's remarkable recovery continues to unfold in real time, with real anticipation now building around whether she'll join William for what would be their most significant joint international trip in years. No palace evictions built on fabricated storage disputes. No secret sealed rooms. No dramatic showdowns invented for the cameras.